sports, I practiced them all my life. I did some football from youth to college. I played football. I made a lot of swimming. I play water polo and some racket sports with squash and tennis. I'm actually a parent of two kids. I have a 12-year-old goalie and a second base baseball player. It's not as intense as the goalie, but he's doing his best for the baseball. I'm excited of being part of PCA because I'm a hard believer that we can make a change in youth sports. I think that the principles and the philosophy we are extending to different audiences, parents and coaches, basically, can make a change in sports. So that's what I'm here, and especially we can live the change, and we are perceiving that the change of attitudes, or at least the interest of the coaches, of catching some parts of it and implementing it on their teams. It's a long way to go, but I think we can do it. So if we move to the slides, we already reviewed two of the three principles. We review the how we connect the athletes among them and the coaches, which is filling the emotional tank. We also review the entry of mastery, when we make them believe they can improve and they get rid out of all these mistakes and this high pressure they have for making mistakes. And now we're gonna go with a key point, which is make them be proud of acting with integrity. And integrity, when we talk about integrity, we're talking about moral. So there's a lot of things to discuss here. So then I put the video.
Yep.
And I finish the video and jump again with the audience and says, okay, let's discuss the situation. What's your feeling after checking this video, reviewing this video? What's your first impression of it?
I was just shocked that the player got away with it and didn't get taken out of the game. That was shocking to me.
And when I was reviewing this video, I said, let's go further. What's the feeling of this catcher? Is she proud of it? Is nervous, or what's going on in that?
I mean, she's sneaky. She was sneaky about it, and the fact that she did it more than once is even more disturbing.
She knows she's abusive. She's hitting them, but let's take the. I'm going to ask you for an exercise. Let's get together to the person you have closer, and let's split the classroom in two parts. On the left part of the classroom, I'm going to ask you to think that you are the coach of the team that is in white, the ones that has been batting and has been hit by this catcher. And I want you to think for 2 minutes and discuss what will be your speech to your team, and especially to these two players that has been hit. And to the right side, you are not the bad guys, please. You will be the coach of the blue ones. But you have just been recently hired. They made you a very nice offer. You arrived to the campus, you have a house, an amazing house at the campus, and you see the gym, and you have all the resources you always dream. And you introduce yourself on Thursday, and everybody claps to you and say, great. And then you go to your first game, and this is your first game. So you have 2 minutes to let us know and share with us what will be your first action with your team about this situation we just saw. Okay? So then I give them 2 minutes and jump back to discuss this. So
okay, I like that.
What you will do, Kelly, with a blue lady, with a catcher? It's horrible.
Am I on the left or the right?
No, you are you are the coach of the blue team. You are in the honeymoon, just being hired, and then jump to this game and see this action.
Okay. I think as the coach of the blue team, I would have, especially if I was a new coach, I would have to do something. I would have to take that player out immediately, just to set the precedent for the rest of my team, to say that, you can't get away with that. That's not allowed, and that's wrong. Even if it was a high stakes game, I think I'd have to take her out. Maybe I wouldn't take her out for the whole game. I mean, I would like to say I would, but it's a high pressure game. It's a championship game, and I'm new, and winning is important when you're new as a coach. So, but I think I'd have to take her out immediately.
And we all know that sometimes when the player make a mistake, it's not a good moment to take them out after the mistake. But with this, you have to, as you mentioned, you have to set the line and says this is the line you cannot cross, and I'm showing you what will be my action when you act like that.
Mm-hmm.
Even sometimes, even if it costs something. When I was a child and I was playing football, there was a team that was unbeaten for several years, and they went to a final relevant game after 6 years of not losing. And on their way there, they travel on a train, and the first team that I don't know why the coach used to separate them, the starting team and the rest. And this starting team, they make a party like crazy. And when they arrive, he says, "You are not playing." And they say, "Come on, it's joking." And he put them on the bench, and they lost the game. And they lost.
Why did he put them on the bench? I didn't understand what you said.
Because practically they destroyed the train, the wagon when they were traveling, the rooms. They were throwing everything, pillows, mattresses through the windows. They really messed it up. And the coach, who later was a coach of a college team in the north, he says, "You are not playing." And they didn't play. And they lose the game against an opponent that was not at the same game level that they used to have. It was like a very easy game for them. And he played just with the rest of the team, and they lost. So yeah, I think it's important to trace a line and leave it clear.
Yeah.
Especially if you are starting transmitting the concept. Thank you, Kelly. So let's move to the next slide and let's talk about rules. We assembled this acronym to put together the 5 key areas we want to address when we're talking about honoring the game. And what I will do there, I will not go one by one. I will open all of them. Okay. And says, I love to discuss this slide because we could share your expertise, which altogether we have more than 100 years as coaches. And you as a coach, you understand all of these 5 principles, and I'm not reducing the importance. We prefer ones than others, but the point is you live with them for the last years, and you face them for the last years. But what about your players, and especially their minds behind who is the parents? You have to transmit this to them and to start working on it with the players and with the parents, of course with you, but you have to work really hard on it. So why do we have rules, for example? And let's do it very fast to jump to the next slide. So what do we have rules on? Why do they exist? Rules and officials, which are technically linked.
I would say for safety and fairness.
Yes, thank you. And to keep limits, isn't it?
And what?
To establish limits of what is correct and not. Yeah. And the officials, I was thinking, what about the officials? All of you are in youth sports. What's the profile of the official? It's a 20-year-old kid. Probably they pay him something, and he's not an expert, of course, and he's probably has a 1-2 year experience. So it's common that they can make a mistake, and we have to accept that. We're living with that, and it's out of our control. So even if the professionals made mistakes in the World Cup or in the Olympics, these kids is something that we have to live with and try to understand and start developing routines to deal with it. And what about the teammates? Do we have an example for a teammate?
An example for respecting teammates? I think just treating your teammates like they were all your friends and not putting them down, and just encouraging your teammates. You talked before about filling the emotional tank. I think filling the emotional tanks of teammates and helping each other to improve and get better.
Yeah, thank you. That's it. Basically, we're talking about this, and or like opponents. No, we as a kids. In my case, I remember being immersed in that culture of you have to pass over them and destroy them and go out and show them, and They are opponents. They are not enemies. This is not a war. I was telling my kid, "Come on, Rafa, you just go out and say hello to them. They're your kids. Probably in the future you will be playing together. They are not enemies." So let's move to the next slide because I want to jump to a bad call, something we face frequently. So if somebody can help me reading what's going on that slide.
Sure. The opposing coach has been riding the refs the entire game, and it seems to be working. Now, in the final moments of a close game, the official makes a horrible call against your team. What do you do?
Yeah. So let's group in threes. Let's separate now the classroom in four, and let's create 4 areas, and just share with us what will be your first reaction. Usually we know the first. We want to say, but we don't want. We can't do it. So let's split and discuss it for, let's say, 1 minute. So I give 1 minute to the audience and get the feedback from them. So you give me the feedback.
I might have to call timeout and go over privately and talk to the official. Especially if it was like the final moments of the game and it was a really crucial call. I feel like I really owe it to my team to call a timeout and go talk to the official.
But what about if you are on a, and thank you, that's a very good measure because you stop the craziness and go directly and talk with the official. But if you are playing this kind of sport, let's say soccer, when you cannot say stop it.
I know. I just learned that this weekend. I had all the years I had never even realized there were no timeouts in soccer. Terrible.
No, well, I don't know. There's now taking place this soccer cup, the America Cup in the U.S. I don't know if you're aware. An official, a player, made a goal with a hand.
Oh.
And the ref was far. So, but the player is like, what a behavior. He ran and tried to hide, and he was watching the refs all the time. The coach was yelling, but he couldn't do anything. And then the ref went to the line ref and get back and call somebody with that. Now they have a microphone, and he confirmed the decision. But it was not like a hand. It was like he pushed it with a hand open, and that was
obvious.
Yeah. And they were disqualified from the cup, the Brazilian team. So yeah, that soccer they don't want to use that resource. But yeah, that's a moment, and we call it, and we move to the next slide. We call it the moment of truth. And here we have 3 tools, and one of them I want you to ask you to jump to your book that we all have here. Let's jump to page 46. When it says chapter 8, the Honoring the Game Toolkit. And it says prepare yourself with a self-control routine. And we have 4 options here. And there's one, I think that the first one is you have to control yourself because your first reaction is to jump. And we all have different emotions and characters or whatever. Somebody would say, I will want to kill the ref because probably it's a championship. Or they are disqualifying your team from the cup. But at the end, you have to control yourself because you are the role model of all those kids and all the parents. So we have some tools here, and one says you can count backwards from 100, which is fine. Probably you should do it. You will want to do it fast. But what is not allowed is to count 99 minus 1, 100. Hey, ref, I don't want you. You have to go. You have to cool down, basically, and because you are the role model. But also you have to take control of your players because they feel they have the same feeling and they want to jump over the ref. It's natural. It's a natural reaction. But our job is to create a culture where that doesn't happen. That you have to live with what's going on, that it's out of your control, and it's something you have to face. It's not that you agree with it, and you have to be clear with players and parents, because sometimes, I mean, this Sunday in the game, it was a nasty parent, really. that the opponent of my kid soccer, it was a tournament. He's an Italian, and he was yelling like crazy, but like crazy to the kids, to the refs, to everybody. It was a part. I turned around and said, "Calm down, come on." And he starts saying, "Come on, come on." This guy wants to fight with somebody. So I move away from there. And it was a very small guy. So I say, he's looking for trouble. Mm-hmm. So that's the kind of parents that exist in every sport, in every game. And those parents are transmitting the same culture and feelings to their young kids. So we're dealing with all of them, and it's not an easy job, but it's something we have to deal with. So you have the tools here. You can review them. There's a whole chapter, and we can discuss it. But really, I think the first step, probably I'm not correct, that it's in our case. We have to stay calm. So if we move to the next slide, we arrive to the point, and the point is create a culture and tell the people the way we do the things here. Okay, so we're going to see a video, which is the next slide.
Yep.
And let's listen to Judy, who is. So we run the video.
Yep.
And jump back and ask randomly in the audience, to not move in the audience again. And what do you think about this video? What's the message in it? The most important message for you?
I think I was just impressed because she's played at the highest level of the sport, and at that level where there is a lot on the line and they're being paid to play, they embrace the new people, and they really welcome them into the team. And you would think of all places that there would be definitely a delineation between the rookies and the veterans. And she said they really welcome them into the team. And I know somebody that played on the U.S. team with Julie Foudy and came in as a new player and said it's absolutely true. She had welcomed us. I ended up rooming in the hotel with her as a rookie, and we didn't have to carry the equipment. We didn't have to do the grunt work. We were welcomed into the team as equals.
And what a way to immerse a rookie in a team and in a culture, isn't it? So it's like, I really like it a lot. So thank you, Kelly. If we move to the next one, and this is a recap, a quick recap. And we're talking about at the beginning of feeling connected, and it's emotional tank, our 3 basic principles, how they believe they can improve, which is the Elm Tree of Mastery, and now all what we review, that it's the integrity and honoring the game. If we check now the toolkit, there's a lot of tools we have at your disposition, at your hand, and I'm sure that probably with all your experience on the field as coaches, you know many of them, and you implement several of them. But I'm sure that 2 or 3 call your attention during this workshop, and I would want to know, just let's say 30 minutes, share with a person you have closer, and which is the one you want to implement immediately in the short future. What's the one that really called your attention and says, I'm going behind it? So I could again and jump them and ask them to come back with what's the tool they prefer.
I really like positive charting, and I like the idea of rewarding unsuccessful effort, because I feel like a lot of times I'm always rewarding the kids that make the shot or do what I ask them to do or do the skill perfectly, and I forget sometimes to reward the kids that are just trying but aren't successfully completing the task or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's right. We had that experience about a month ago with the kid after a tournament, when the coach says, and this medal is for the one player that improved the most in this season. And he didn't play the whole game, but really he was the one that probably developed more skills during that season, and he received that connotation from the coach. And I'm sure that medal and that moment that the coach gave to him will remain in his mind for a while. So let's continue and let's bounce back to the e-tank. And what's the one thing we already discussed is being positive. And there's a say that says positive thinkers get positive results. I think I really agree on that. If we focus more on positive than negatives, we'll change the whole mentality on the team. So finally, if you jump to the next slide, we can see the resources. We have the book here. The book is something you can, sorry, this is something you can have in your car. You can put it on the bench when the kids are warming up or running. You can jump on it every time you want. You can make notes. You can separate the pages. You can buy another one, but it's something that you can live with it. And if we move forward, also there are some other tools you will be receiving if you register with your phone. And when did you get into this workshop, we will be receiving weekly talking points that you can use them in different ways. You can discuss it with the players. You can take one and follow it during the week, or just remember it. And the third one, it's online. When you want to go deeper to a principle, or you remember Rafael was talking about something I don't remember, I want to jump back, but it's not in the book and the page I was looking for, to jump directly to the website and dive deeply and make printouts of the information. You can also access videos, which is always useful. And you can, now that the kids have, everybody has a mobile and they spend a lot of time attached to that, you can share with them videos. It says, listen, what we live on the weekend, it's in this principle that I take from PCA and I want to share with them. So I think you have enough on this, and I want to say thank you. If you we switch to the next slide, I want to say thank to all of you, and especially we are all from different sports, we are all from different profiles, but we are all together here just for one objective: to improve the way youth sports are played in this country and hopefully in this world, to make the kids enjoy more the sports, to make them feel better and more secure, and also to create adults more secure of them that can face the world in a different world. I'm sure that if we teach a group of kids to honor the game and opponents, their life as politicians or managers and whatever will be quite better, and we can make it more better. So I'm going to ask you for the last favor. Please, I need your feedback and your evaluation. That will make me perform better, to make better my presentations, to prepare better my workshops. Remember the 5 to 1, not the 1 to 5. So now give me I would really appreciate your honest and open feedback on this presentation. And please give it there. The last slide is, remember, you have to register to receive your certificate and to receive all this feedback from us. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Well, thank you.
Well done, well done. That's a lot of information, and you made it very realistic. I can picture the way you would do it in the workshop, and that's great. That's fantastic. How did you feel doing that, going all the way through? Did you feel like you had enough time, or how did you feel?
I think I feel well. I always feel that I can make it better, honestly.
Well, everybody does, but
probably work more on the flow. I decided I was working on the elm tree, but I was not feeling comfortable for the 20 minutes. So I said, no. And I already talked about the e-tank, and I don't want to go. I didn't want to go deeper to the e-tank. So I said, no, let's go to honoring the game, and it's good. I think it's interesting. I need to work on the flow on it. I don't know what.
That just comes with practice. The more you practice it, the more you do it out loud. It's different when you're practicing it in your head or you're going over the notes in your head than it is when you're actually saying it out loud, because you have to decide what words to choose. And you're also choosing, words in a different language than you're used to speaking, which I thought you did a very, very nice job with. My only language critique would be that if you call it football, we're going to think it's football, not soccer. So if you say I played football, that's what we're going to say, and that's just something
I play football actually.
Well, that's why I think you should differentiate, because you're talking about your kids playing soccer and you playing football. I think you should let us know which one you're talking about. So if you say football, you meant football, and you meant soccer for soccer. That's good. I didn't know that. That's good.
Yeah. No, we play football in Mexico,
Yeah. Oh, I know. I have a friend actually that played football in Mexico after college, because he wasn't good enough to play football in college in America, but he was recruited to play football in Mexico.
He should be a star.
Yeah, he was.
Racial, the difference.
Yeah.
At the moment where I'm 6 foot tall.
Okay, that's
but
tall.
I don't have the body. So the first time I saw an NFL game here, two things impressed me. The first one is the size of the players.
Yes.
That size of person doesn't exist in Mexico.
Yeah, I know.
This 300 pounds and biceps like this, it's not. Yeah. It's not possible to.
And my friend was 5'11", and he wasn't huge, and he couldn't play football here, but he could play in Mexico. Yeah. No, Rafael, I think you did a really, really nice job. You did a lot of things very, very well. I really like the way that you phrased your questions. I thought you did a nice job at engaging the audience and asking a lot of questions and really valuing our experience. You said a few times about, share your expertise, and I want you to be involved in this. And I think you did a very nice job with that. I really like the way that you talked about the very first question about the video. Now, unfortunately, we're not going to be using that video, but I think it's good just to see how you would handle it. The way that you split us into two different groups. I thought that was great, to have half the room thinking about one coach's perspective and half the room thinking about the other coach's perspective. That was very creative, and I like that. I like that idea a lot. The story, I thought your story was great. Just when you tell a story, be careful, because the details do matter. And I don't know if I just didn't hear you when you said like they were partying. Like the story was great about the soccer team that they didn't let them play. He didn't play the starting lineup of the team. You just have to practice your stories, because when you got to the end of it and you said, yeah, and he didn't let them start, I didn't hear that you said that they were like destroying the train and things like that. So you just have to make sure that the story is clear, because it was a great story. And I'm thinking, okay, I get it, but what did they do? And if I was in an audience, like a big audience, I probably wouldn't ask. I probably wouldn't raise my hand and go, wait a minute, back it up. What did they do? So just practice your stories a little bit more to make sure that we have all the details, and be clear. Like, say they were throwing pillows, they were destroying be specific about what the behavior that they did. Because when I asked you later and you said, oh, I think you said they were partying or something. It wasn't as clear. If my team was partying, that's different than if my team was destroying property or, whatever. So just be careful with your stories. I like the way you put all of the roots at once. I thought that was really a nice idea, to keep the flow going rather than going one at a time. I think you were a little unclear about your questions, because you said, I want you to share your expertise. And then the first question was, why are there rules? Which is a fine question. And then the second one, you said, how do you respect teammates? So I think, it was good questioning. You were just asking a bunch of different questions for each of the letters. So maybe being a little bit more consistent, the question that you ask for each of them, maybe say, how would you respect all of these areas? Or where have you seen them disrespected? Or how can we teach our team to respect them? Or, maybe just put them up there and have them say one or the other. But it just seemed like it was a lot of different questions for each one, and it got a little bit confusing. But I think, your idea was great at getting the audience to share their experience rather than telling yours. I like the way you got us in the book. I thought you did a nice job with that, with the self-control routine, actually looking in the book at the different ways you can have a self-control routine. I would ask the audience again, any chance you have to ask the audience for their input, the better. So ask them, what do you do when you flip out? What do you do when you feel like you're going to lose your top and you're going to yell at your team? How do you keep control? And then the other part of that, this is just an idea. The other part of that is to have coaches reflect and think about what does make you lose control. So that you can really be proactive. If you can identify, turn to a partner and talk about when do you really get steamed? When do you really get angry? You can feel your heart rate starting to rise, because I think part of it is if coaches are aware of triggers, things that set them off. Maybe it's one certain official that shows up. Maybe it's if a parent is screaming. Maybe if it's your star player for the 15th time didn't listen to you and ran the wrong play. If they can be aware ahead of time of what sets them off, then the self-control routine will flow from that. So I think that's just an idea for you. It might be a good line of question. The other thing too, that you talked about parents, and I thought it was great. You gave a great example a very current example at your son's game about how this parent was, flipping out. I think that's a real situation. Again, I would put it to the audience. Say I was at my son's game last night or whenever it was, and say there was a parent and the parent was screaming at the officials and the parent was yelling at people. And I turned around, and maybe even before you say what you did, say, what do you do as another parent in the stands, or what do you do as a coach? Put it on them. And then after that, say, well, here's what I did. I turned around and I said, hey, you know what? Can we just, cool it, or whatever you wanted to say. But I think it's good to put the coaches in the fire, put them in the situation and see what they'll do. And then if they're not giving you the answer that you're looking for, then follow up with your answer. Well, this is what I did. This is what PCA recommends. If you turn to, and this is something else you didn't mention, right on that slide, it said parent tools. So I think that's a good lead in. Ask them what they would do in the situation as coaches or parents. Then you tell them what you did, and then say, well, if you turn to page 48, Positive Coaching Alliance has some great ideas for you on how to handle parents, and have them look at that right there in the book. So I thought, but all in all, I think you did a nice job at the development zone too. I think I really haven't thought about that. Like if you are out and you can't remember the page number and you can't remember the principles, go to the website. I thought that was a clear way to put it. That was nice. So I'm really pleased with what you did. I think you just need some practice, and I'd love to see how you do in front of a live audience of coaches, because it's different doing it for me than it is doing it. You get energy from people. So I understand that, but content wise, I think the content. I feel very strongly about it. And I just think, as you said, practice how you're going to say things, practice your stories. I used to record myself all the time, just record myself doing this, or I'd get my kids to sit down and I'd say, let me tell you this story, or let me explain it. And anybody I could find, I would grab people from church and I would say, hey, after church, will you stay for an extra 20 minutes? Because I want to practice on you. So I would just find people wherever I could to practice. And when we get you into a workshop, we will have you probably just do one principle at first. So you'll be able to watch another trainer as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So
it's great. One thing that will happen is for me, when I'm presenting, it's easier for me to stand up because I move a lot.
Sure, absolutely.
And when you are stick on the chair, it's a little difficult.
Yeah, no, I understand that. And we've had people that have done these Google Hangouts standing up. I had a guy yesterday, Brian, in this course. He wanted to do his standing up. So he pushed the chair out and he moved the camera and he stood up and he was talking like this, like he was talking to the group, and whatever you can do. Whatever you want to do to make it realistic. No, but you did a fine job. You did a fine job. So what I'm going to do is I will tell Sonia. Sonia is our trainer manager. And she's going to be, I'll send an announcement that has an email in it that tells you everything you need to know. And I will tell Sonia, she's going to be sending you workshops that are in your general area that you can go with another trainer, and we would give you one principle to do. Now, I'm trying to think, in your area, you're in Princeton.
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on a sec, let me look. So we have another trainer that's in Orange County, New Jersey. How far is that? Not far? Okay. Okay. So he's probably the one that we would put you with.
Okay.
And he goes all over the place, but we'll just let you know when there's workshops in your area. We probably send them to anyone within like 1 to 2 hours, anywhere closer than that, we'll send you to. And we'll get you out to do a principle. One of the principles you can do honoring the game, you can do E-Tank, you can do Elm Tree of Mastery, whichever one you'd like to do. And then we'll have that trainer, evaluate you and see how you do. And he or she might say, next time you can do 2 principles, or next time you can do 3 principles. But we let you take it slow so that you can get used to it and have support before we just send you out there to do a workshop by yourself.
Perfect.
But I did want to mention to you as well, in this fall, we are launching our workshops for parents and for, I think it's parents and youth coaches in Spanish. This is the first year that we're rolling them out. The book is going to be printed in Spanish and the PowerPoint is going to be in Spanish. So if you have interest in that, we can get you trained for that as well, to practice doing that.
That would be great, actually. I reviewed some materials you have on the website and on the trainings in Spanish. I think style correction will be useful.
What will? I'm sorry.
There's some translations that are made like literally.
Oh, okay.
And are not clear, or when you read it, it sounds incomplete.
Okay.
So if I don't know if you're preparing new materials, or is those materials, or if I can be of any help.
Yeah, I will let you know. One of our trainers, his name's Raul Escalante. He lives in Mexico City. We had a group of trainers go through the course a few months ago, and they were 4 trainers for Mexico City, because we have a Positive Coaching Alliance Mexico City. Wow. So they've offered to partner with us, and they've been working on translating the book, and some of the acronyms don't translate correctly, like ELM, to find something in Spanish that works. And I can't remember what they're using, but they're using something different than ELM because it's not translating correctly. So the materials that you see, with the newest translation of things, I would love to run it by you. I'd love for you to take a look at it and see.
We all in Latin America and Spain, we say, no, you don't speak it well, and we have some others. But in general, for example, in medicine, the books are from Spain. Yeah. And we can read each other. It's more formal. But when the phrase or the sentence is not making sense, it has to be rebuilt, because it was a literal translation.
Yeah. I remember that in high school. I took Spanish for 5 years, and I was taught by someone who had a Mexican background. And then I went to college, and she was from Madrid, so she taught us in Spanish, from Spain. And I'm thinking, this isn't even the same language. Like, what's going on here? So, I think we're focusing more on the Mexican translations, because in America, that's more of the Latino, Puerto Rico, places like that. That's where a lot of the Spanish speaking are from. So it's going to be the same dialect, hopefully. But we would love to have your input on that too.
Yeah, anything. And if they invite me to a bilingual and I do it in Spanish, I can do it easily.
That would be great, because I think we have 5 trainers, PCA trainers in the country right now that are bilingual. There's one in Chicago, one in Minnesota, one in New York, one in California, and then we have these guys from Mexico City that are willing to travel wherever they want to travel to. So I think it's a great thing. It's something that partners have been asking for. To have workshops especially for parents. They really like the athlete workshops to be in English, because a lot of the families want their kids to speak English. So we're not translating the athlete workshops yet, but a lot of the parent workshops, they've been asking for them to be done in Spanish. So I think it's a great thing that we are offering.
Yeah, when I drive, there's a lot of big Latin community here, especially more to the north, in Newark, New York. Yeah. Especially Mexicans. In this area, it's more Guatemalans from other parts.
Oh, okay.
But every time I drive Rafa to a game to Newark, it's a tough area, of course. Yeah. Yeah. And because he's goalie, when they switch sides, and he stays far from us.
Oh, right.
And they're so aggressive. I usually walk around and stay close to him on the side and tell him something in Spanish. So then the people around says, because they are tough.
Spanish. Yeah.
I say, be careful, because this guy will understand.
Yeah, exactly. You can't yell. You can't curse at him in Spanish, because he'll understand it.
So now that we connect, I stay apart and leave Rafa playing. But I do that because they are so intense, and they're the parents. This guy on the weekend, he was Italian, and he was for a very basic profile, but he was extremely aggressive.
Yeah. The other thing too that I would recommend, and I didn't mention this before, but the one thing I would do, I think you have a unique perspective in that, you're from Mexico, you're living here now, you've seen the different cultures, and you would like to improve the youth sports culture in America, knowing where you've come from and knowing the way it is there. And I think I would like to hear part of that added into your introduction somewhere. about the different cultures, because, you know, if I have never been to Mexico and I don't know the culture because I haven't lived there, I think that's a neat perspective that you can bring into your workshops. That might be, you know, might be a neat thing to add in there. The other thing too, and this is something that we talk about a lot in our parent workshops. When you are I tell parents all the time of coaches, parents that are coaching and parents of athletes, when you talk about your children, it's really important that you talk about your children as being, like my son Rafael, he is a funny, creative, you know, sense of humor is great. He's active. He plays the piano. He is great in math, and he's a soccer goalie.
Okay.
Rather than saying my son the goalie. Yeah, my son the soccer goalie. Because I mean, and it's not you, but a lot of parents will say, "Oh yeah, my son the pitcher," and my son's a great basketball player, or my son the basketball. This is Timmy. He's a basketball player. And then your child gets thoughts in their head that I am what I play. So if my mom describes me as Jane the swimmer, and I don't swim well, then all of a sudden my value goes down. Okay. Whereas if I say my daughter Jane is so funny, she just has the best sense of humor. She loves singing, she loves acting, and she loves to swim. You know, it's a little bit different than saying Jane the swimmer. So when you describe your kids, I'd love to hear more about your kids, and then say, yeah, and he plays second base, and yeah, he's a goalie. You know, I think that's something that in the parent workshops we really try to hit home with. Don't wrap up your child's identity in their sport. And I think as a trainer, if you're describing your kids, I would encourage you to describe them as, tell me about your kids, and then tell me what they play.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
All right. Yeah, of course.
All right, so we will be in touch. Thank you so much for everything you've done in the course. You've worked really hard, and it's been great to get to know you. And
thank you.
I will be I'll be your support person until you are officially certified and going out and doing this by yourself. So, and actually, I'm the support person for the New Jersey area anyway. So once you become certified, I will be your lead trainer to work with you. If you would like to have certifications and additional workshops, or if you have questions or whatever, you can contact me anytime.
All right. Thank you very much, Kelly.
All right. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.